But Draymond Green, we started off the show talking about some comments he made on the Colin Cowherd podcast about KD and Steph. And here he is on that same podcast talking about Steph and the notion that he still got something to prove. Here he is.
What I make of it, Colin, is that people need shiny objects for themselves. They need those shiny objects for them to be able to analyze what's going on. They can't see what you just said, which is Steph could definitely have finals MVPs because Steph has the ball. Steph is coming down the court and he's calling sets. And he's like, oh, we got a mismatch with Kevin Durant. We're going to get Kevin Durant the ball every single time. He can hijack the game and no one's going to say a word. If Steph Curry comes down and he calls for a pick and roll every play, nobody's going to say a word, including Kevin Durant, by the way. That's not what he does. And so the impact that he has on the game, if you don't understand basketball and thoroughly understand, not understand a stat sheet, if you don't understand basketball, which most people don't in your space, then yeah, you're going to come out and you're going to say, he needs to validate that by finals MVP because that's all you can see.
All right, Rob, first of all, I know that, and this is my first time hearing the whole spiel from Draymond. I know that if you know basketball, which most people don't in your space, I know that's stuck in your craw. But anyway, you can address that obviously if you want. But I wanted to ask you about the notion that, do you believe, Steph, because Draymond said he disagrees with the notion that Steph needs to win a finals MVP to validate him, his career, his legacy in people's eyes. What are your thoughts on that? And again, if you want to address Draymond, go ahead.
I don't think he has to validate anything. I think your place in the game and the way people look at it, if he loses this one, people will look at him differently. If somebody else wins the finals MVP, they'll say, that's strange. How did Wiggins win the finals MVP with Steph on the team? Or whatever it is. It will just be looked at like, oh, he's won 4 championships, but he never won that award. I mean, yes, it will be something that people can point to and look. When you talk about the greats of the great, which Draymond doesn't understand, people do nitpick. And this notion that nobody knows basketball except for people who have played, well, we can name you a lot of coaches and different people who never played, who have made a contribution to the game, and they know the game. So that whole notion is macho. You can't talk about this because you don't know about it. People cover the president of the United States and the White House every day and were never president. People cover great corporations and businessmen and companies, Chris, and never were CEOs. This whole notion, and if anything, we're actually, as writers, closer to knowing the game than, say, somebody covering business or politics, where they never had any kind of touch with that, where at least, Chris, we might have been out on the field, might have played the game at a lower level, and even if you haven't made it to the NBA, doesn't mean you don't know the game. It's such a phony farce when I hear players use that as if, because if Steph had, like it's not, we don't know the game because Steph doesn't have any finals MVP, so it doesn't really mean anything to the people who play. Yet Michael Jordan, who's considered the greatest player, has all 6 finals MVPs, right? So Michael could have dominated the game. Mike could have done whatever he wanted to. Mike could have done all that as well. And Mike could be a 6-time champion with no finals MVPs. Which one is it? Everyone looks at Mike, and that's the impressive part, is that he won 6 championships and won all 6 MVPs. Everybody says Scottie Pippen was a great player. Mike never won without Scottie. Did that stop Scottie from winning an MVP, Chris? He could have won one, right? He could have won 2.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I'll just jump quickly onto what you said about, again, the notion of sometimes players come out and say media guys don't know the game or whatever because they didn't play. Rob, I don't know how to fix a car, but if I pay someone to fix it. You're a professional and you screw my car up. Then I can point that out.
Right.
I don't have to be a mechanic to know that you screwed my car up. And because you're getting paid for it, I've got every right to say, this dude jacked up my car. He didn't know what he was doing. He's getting paid. I paid him $100 an hour, and he ruined my transmission or whatever. Right. And so that's something that for people to think about. And Rob, you take that line of thought to the nth degree, and then it becomes, okay, you played. Came off the bench, dude, for 14 years. Like, how you criticizing me? Right. I'm a 3-time All-Star. How dare you say something about my game? Or then it's, you only made 2 All-Star teams, dude. I'm a Hall of Famer. What? You can't say nothing about me. And then it's, okay, you a Hall of Famer. You won some rings, but you ain't in the top 10.
Right.
Now you ain't nobody thinking you ain't in the GOAT conversation. So then it goes, Rob, taken to the nth degree. Only Michael Jordan can criticize people.
Right. According to them, because they're mad. First they said we didn't play, so we didn't have the right to criticize them. Then when Charles Barkley and those guys criticize them, they're just bitter. They're the old men are, mad because they didn't make the money that we make. Like there's always an excuse. I thought Charles played at a high level. Oh, well, he never won a championship. Oh, okay. Well, Kenny played. He won. Oh, yeah. Well, Shaq played. He won. Well, he had Kobe. Like, it's always an excuse.
Right.
I'm like, what
no
is
doubt.
it?
No doubt. So let me get to what he said, Rob. I don't value. I get it. It's an award, and it's a good award. I'm glad they have it. I'm just going to be honest, and this is not because Steph doesn't have any. I don't put as much stock into finals MVPs as most people. Because to me, when you get to those finals, man, you don't care who is the leading scorer, who shines the most individually. You just trying to win. Isaiah Thomas had battled Larry Bird, had beaten Michael Jordan. And when he finally got over the hump and won his first title, he didn't care that Joe Dumars was MVP. He was as happy as I'm sure as he was the next year when they won it, and he was the MVP against Portland. Kareem only has 2 in his 6 championships. Kareem's only got 2 finals MVPs. Kareem won a finals MVP in 71, I believe, when they won it in Milwaukee. And then Magic, a rookie, comes to the team, and he was the first 2 finals MVPs that when they won their championships with Showtime. I just don't think it's that huge of a deal. And I also think, yes, I do think Steph should have won it in 2015 over Iguodala, but fine. I can point out a few other times where I think they picked the wrong guy. So it's not just that Steph situation. There's other times where I thought they picked the wrong guy. But I'll say this, though. Rob, you know this. Perception often becomes reality. You brought up the one point, which is good. When we, decide between, who we think is better, we're talking about top 10. We're talking about GOAT. Little things like that. You're absolutely right, Rob. We nitpick. And little things like this matter.
Because let me say this. If Steph Curry, Chris, had won the finals MVP in his 3 championships, all 3.
All 3?
With Kevin Durant on the team, you can't tell me he wouldn't be elevated. He would be. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't totally cement who you are, but it does elevate you. Would you not think if he had Kevin Durant on that squad and he won all 3 of their finals MVPs to go along with all the other stuff that he's done, I think it elevates him. And that's all I'm saying.
That's why I'm saying, like, I was going to say there's really 2 reasons he needs to get it. Needs in parentheses. One is what you said when you nitpick, right? I think he's clearly, and I want your opinion when I'm done on this, because we've battled before. I've said he's the best small or under the rim player, beneath the rim player ever. You said it's Isaiah Thomas, who I have second. I think if Steph wins this championship, and if you want to throw in the finals MVP too, to me, there's no doubt anymore that he's the greatest small player ever.
And
he
if
will
he
have
loses,
4 rings. He's still the greatest to me. Like I said, he's already that.
Okay,
He's got 3. I mean, he can't. What can happen? This is, to me, it's icing on the cake. I do think he can elevate because, like I said, people are talking about top 10 and all that. But I think, to me, he's already the greatest small player. But I'm saying to those that don't feel that way, I would think another ring and a finals MVP would cement him as that. But as I was going to say, Rob, perception is often reality. And the fact is, whether I think it's that big of a deal or not, the perception out there is that you've never been finals MVP, right? So for that reason, it'd be good for him to win one so that people can no longer throw that in his face, so that it's no longer a storyline, a negative storyline as far as his career, that he doesn't have one. But I'll say this, Rob. Steph Curry averages 20 in his finals appearances, and he's played in a ton of finals games. His averages are 26 points in the finals, 26 and a half points in the finals, 6 assists, 5 rebounds in the finals. That's 2 points better than his regular season average. So this notion that he disappears in the playoffs or the finals is completely erroneous, because he actually averages more points per game in the finals than he does in the regular season for his career. And that is more points. He's 10th all time in that points per game in the finals. That's higher than Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Dr. J, Elgin Baylor, Dwayne Wade, Kareem, Isaiah Thomas, Moses Malone, and Bird, Elgin, and Kareem. Their averages dropped from the regular season to the finals. Steph elevates his. So I think the whole notion that he doesn't play well in the finals is ludicrous. The one people didn't think he played it well in 2015, where I thought he should have got it. He averaged 26, 6, and 6.
Yeah, but there were other. I think first of all, those numbers are skewed
And
because of the 3 ball, so they're skewed a little bit. And number 2,
really?
Yeah, I just think that.
So this whole era is skewed now?
A little bit. I mean, people score more points. It's easier to score now. I just think the 3 adds to it when you talk about some of the other numbers. It's not
nobody's challenging Michael Jordan's scoring record.
I'm not dismissing him, but I'm saying he's very special. And the other thing too is there are situations and circumstances where even in that play-in game against Memphis, where he didn't score in the fourth quarter or overtime. So I get the scoring average, but there have been stretches, Chris, where he's disappeared. Right, that's all I'm saying.
Everybody, maybe except Michael Jordan, but not except Michael Jordan.
I'm not saying
Michael Jordan had bad playoff games too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there are those moments that's why people kind of go, and then we know the 0 for 8 or 0 for 9 at the end of games where he hasn't made a big shot. Now, if he has let me just say this.
Buzzer beater.
Right. If he, in the last 10 or 15 seconds, if he has a terrible series, just doesn't shoot well, they lose, what do you think? Not you. You already said no matter what he does. What do you think other people, the masses, how will they look at Steph if he doesn't play well and they don't win? Do you think that would change the perception of, not you? You said that no matter what. Right. Yeah, I'm asking, do you think what would be that narrative?
I gotta be, and I'm being completely honest, Rob, and we'll throw this out to the listeners in a moment. I don't think people expected them to be in the finals. So I think it's gravy. And the fact that he's already got 3 championships. Now, I get it. Kevin Durant was there, the best player the last 2. But they did win one without Durant. And he's been to, 5? So I don't think he drops. Certainly he doesn't rise. I don't think anybody will be saying top 10 all time if, he plays poorly and they lose. Or even if they just lose. He might play great and they lose. I don't think people are going to throw him in the top 10 necessarily. But I don't think he drops.